Hey, what's up, guys? So, this is the new season for season 8, and it's a long season. And as you can see, I was moved back to D3. So, I know there's a lot of talk about us not getting moved back, and I actually saw some posts from some guys on Discord where they were showing that we were promised not to be moved back, but I was under the impression that we would be moved back, so I was kind of prepared for it. So I wasn't disappointed by it, or I wasn't extremely disappointed by it. But here's the ranking. I actually have Doolem in the ranking, and so it'll be good to see if we can get matched. We didn't get matched on this first go. I'm going against RuinLord, and RuinLord is 83 mil, nearly 3.9 mil STP.
Wow.
So clearly he's well into Dark Dimension 8. He's in, as you'll see, he has a number of G19 tunes on defense. And here are my stats. So I'm slightly wider roster than him, and he's pretty good size, stronger with STP. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out. This is what I'm running on defense. As I've mentioned before, me and Desir talk a lot, and what was going on here is, in the beginning when we were talking about it on Friday, he was thinking of running the Mercs in room 1 with Robbie, and I was thinking to run the Mercs with Robbie in 2. And so as we went through some discussions, he decided to run them in 2, and his thought process was to go ahead and make use of out of time in dorm in 1. And eventually I thought that was a good idea, so that's how I came up with this. But ultimately, I felt like Robbie might be more useful on offense, and that just came from watching Juicy and some other guys talking about, what defense is going to look like. And I was like, yeah, secret defenders could come in handy. I've been using them on offense. Let's stick with that. And so as I looked at the X-Men that could go and complement Old Man Logan, because as an X-Men, Wolverine has a rework. And mostly what I'm looking at is his special. As long as he can get off his special, then that could do significant damage. He's got 400% piercing on his primary target, and I believe it's 120% piercing on 5 rebound chains. And it all applies 2 bleeds every hit. So that could be substantial, as well as his positioning here next to Panda Pool is that if Wolverine or Old Man Logan drops below 50%, then that ignites Dakin's kit, and he'll get the benefits from Wolverine being dropped down. And so this allows me to keep Old Man Logan in the corner more protected to make sure he gets to his special so that he can get his revive, and then I think that'll make the team much tougher. And quite naturally, Wolverine still gets the revive. It's a smaller percentage than the rest, but this team have an ability to have so many revives going on. I think it can be tough, especially in room 2, if they get the bleeds and then they're still standing. And so room 3 I think is pretty standard. We've seen it before. It's just we'll see if the room rules affect Nightcrawler or not. I've gone against this quite often in War, so if it's what guys are saying is really a blank room, which we'll see, then part of what you're seeing on the rest of this is that I have Superior 6 on offense. And I've used Superior 6 with Vulture and Mysterio in War. Perhaps they'll be just as good against that team down the line if I see them in 3. I don't know for sure if what that'll mean if I see them in room 6, because they could possibly be really good in room 6, but we'll see. And so room 4, originally I was going to go with Spider Society, and got this idea from C-Row. He was just saying this is really the Black Knight room. So what I'm seeing is whether you have Black Knight on defense and use him in room 4, he'll be valuable, or you could use him on offense and he'll be very valuable to use in room 4. So this is just to make the Spider Society that much tougher, make them use something pretty strong, and in that way it's I would think a slightly stronger defense with than just having them as Spider Society. Also, I pulled New War because, and I think New War just makes this team really tough. I think they're, if it weren't for Black Knight being in there, I think they're probably slightly easier to beat without him in there. But he's got so much versatility in other rooms on defense or working him with teams on offense that that's where I see a lot of value in him this season. And so I'm going with Hive Mind Scroll. This room could be pretty devastating with them in there. Originally I was going to go with them in room 6, just from hearing Dorky Dad talking about how vicious they'll be in there. And once again, Desir was going to run them in 5, and ultimately I decided to put them in 5 because in the beginning I was going to just run a Superior 6 team in here. And I think to make this room really tough, if you run Superior 6, you can put Super Scroll in there, and I think that'll make the team, just this room, almost impossible to beat. And so for me, it came down to which do I think I'll use more on offense, Hive Mind or Superior 6. And I think that I'll get more use out of Superior 6 on offense this season, especially with the Green Goblin as we get closer to his awakened abilities. I think that'll be pretty huge. So that's why I'm in 5. And so Scroll in 5 and Mercs in 2, or even Mercs in 1, I think kind of call for, because I have as you guys can see, I have a pretty big Mercs team in here. I think it'll call for Cabal, and that causes for some hard choices here. And then you have 2 strong supporting teams with the Spider Society, Black Knight in 4, and I think Infinity Watch is still a pretty strong team in 6 with Quicksilver. So if not planned out correctly and played correctly, I think that'll give me a chance to get some wins and not necessarily be high on efficiency, because I think this is going to be more of a turtling season. So I've already done my attacks. Working with the guys on Updog Stream, we still get together on Mondays and kind of talk through some things with each other. So I did my attacks yesterday, and what I'll do is I'll show the offensive attacks first, and then we'll go through the defensive attacks later. So let's start off with room 4. I was interested in this just to see this out of time in Dorm in 4 as I'm running out of time in Dorm in 1 and how it would play out. And my first thought was that the Tangle Web, the trio with Nova and Big Time, would just be safe enough and easy enough to get through this team. Maybe not as efficiently, but I thought it would be a safe win. And what I found out is that a 3-diamond Dorm is really, really hard to get through. So as you can see here, I'm not getting much done. I'm trying to chip away at the team, but they're still very strong. I was able to get out Peggy, but that just wasn't enough. And Cap is really doing his job keeping Dorm protected, so I'm not able to really get over there. And then you see Dorm hit with his ult, and that was just really problematic. Starbrand is much stronger than I think people realize, and so I think once he's really built up, he'll be a problem for us, you know, when he starts getting diamonds on him. And that's something to keep in mind. Right now, he's the weak link, but clearly he will be more powerful once he's maxed out and more on the level of the tunes that we have now. So this is where I made my attempts on his room 5. And I wanted to show this because in the aftermath, it was very late and I was showing my attacks to Zero and Pat. Pat made some good suggestions on how to go about approaching this room and some adjustments I can make overall with my plan that would have helped to make this a better go, where I wouldn't have gotten stuck. Well, maybe wouldn't have gotten stuck. I would have had a better chance to beat this room. But as you can see here, even going in with the Pegasus as a sack, I wasn't able to get any damage on them. And then following up with this Secret Defenders team, which going with them in the first room, Pat was bringing up saying that that was just a useless attempt. It was still a useless attempt even in the follow-up, as you see here. But what he suggested is to go in with the APOC and Doom with the SD trio. And so I'm gonna actually save that team because I'm sure I'll see this in room 5 often, and we'll see how that goes. And perhaps at least I can just, if I can kill off some important tunes, it will make the cleanup easier. If not, possibly get a one-shot. So I'm finished watching Quicksilver in room 6. I was a little concerned from watching the CC Envoy tournament. And so I wanted to go in with a strong team. And I looked at Doom having his ult on turn 1. And I think this is probably a solid counter. The thing about it is that after doing this attack and then having a discussion with Pat and actually seeing Doolin, and I think both those guys are on the same page about Eternals and Tangle Web taking this out. We just have more versatility than what I originally thought going into this room, especially when you have like a room 4 where I could have used Eternals and maybe Undying on room 4 or some type of a tangled team here with Eternals and maybe Undying with the 2-piece of Massive Evil. Just some things to think about and how we can mix some things up, and we're going to start finding more counters available to us, that this room is going to be a little bit more open to us to beat it efficiently. And since I honestly have no idea on how to beat the Mercs in room 1, even with, it could be any fifth, but I think especially with New War, it was like just going with Cabal. I wasn't sure if caballing this was the better choice over caballing room 5. But in hindsight, I think it is, and I think that there's potential to work with the room 5 versus a well-built-out Mercs team. So the thought process here with room 2 in Spider Society is going in with the new Warriors, I think was pretty safe, as his choice for a 5th was Spider-Woman. And as you see this play out, you'll see Spider-Woman didn't really bring any value to the team. And that allows for the full new Warriors to go ahead and just get the win. However, if he had the full Spider Society, I don't think New Warriors would have worked here. And perhaps a different 5th could have caused more problems. But in the end, if it's not New War, I think the New Warriors would still win with most any 5th he would have decided to put in here, except maybe a Black Knight or something like that. So the scores are in, and you can see I pulled out a win. We both could not clear a room. And so as we go through the defensive plays here, I think you'll get an idea on how you want to approach the rest of this first week, if you want to go a little bit more defense heavy, or if you're going to look to still try to win on efficiency. For me this season, I think I'm going to have to rely on slightly heavier defense, and I think it played well this time around. But you can see there's a significant difference in the score So I'm not sure that, efficiency played a part on either of our sides, and quite naturally a lot to learn from for both of us as going forward, because I do think even if one room can't be cleared, which I think eventually all rooms will be cleared, that the efficiency can get better. Not by much, but at least slightly better than what you see here. Okay, guys, so let's take a look at the defense. So let's start with my room 5. And as you can see, this is the room he couldn't clear. So I think this is a really good choice to use Hive Mind on defense, as I don't really see a need for them on offense this season. So for my room 1, he went in with a really strong counter using Noir and going right in on Dorm with Noir and Secret Defenders. And so you can see how smoothly this plays out. Perhaps this team could have been better used somewhere else, but since he used them here, this is high efficiency, and in my opinion, a very good choice to knock them out as fast as possible. So with room 2, he maybe ran out of teams to use, and so I think he was just experimenting with the Hive Mind. And that he tried it twice kind of suggests that he thought it was going well enough to try it again, but we'll never know. But at the end of the day, he had to go in with Cabal to clear it, and so that extra attack maybe cost him to where he might have won this over me. But it is good to know that Hive Mind has some potential here. I just don't think that when you come to a well-built out Mercs team such as I have, that it would work. And clearly when you're going with Cabal, this was just easy work. The key members of the team never took a turn. Ironically, Deadpool and Pandapool are the 2 surviving members near the end. But at the end of the day, all they did was just stretch it out a little bit longer, which for efficiency's purposes going against Cabal, I think is still a good thing. So we look at my room 3, the Extreme with Rogue, and he goes in with Masters of Evil and APOC. I think we've seen this battle enough times to know that this was pretty much a safe bet, especially with the room rules in 3 being softened up compared to last season. But it's just a good watch to see how he plays it out. So there's an idea if APOC is not needed, and this can be done with Ultron. So clearly looking at the results here, this does seem to be room 4, that is, Black Knight's room. And as you watch the attacks here, just keep an eye on the durability of Black Knight compared to Spider Society. And we know Spider Society is a tough team going against this New Warriors Lizard. So I still think Tangle Web may have some potential going against the Infinity Watch Quicksilver and 6, but it looks like the combination of Iron Man and Kestrel with Nova is not enough. And perhaps maybe a Big Time in this one, or someone else instead of Iron Man could have worked. My thought is the Eternals with Big Time could have been a good counter. And then we'll see as time goes on, because it's still speculation. I'm not sure of anything at this point when it comes to this room and this team, especially if they're built really big. But let's just take a look to see how this plays out so you guys can get some information and make some determinations for yourself.